Welcome back. I had a friend drop off some old audio gear, a JVC R-S5 receiver and a JVC QL-5 direct drive turntable. Now these are nice units, and the service information that I found on the net, the service manuals for the receiver was dated 1979, so it's a rather old unit, and it looks like it had been sitting for a while. I don't know whether he had it out in his workshop or maybe that's where he plans on using it, but I do know that he cleaned up his workshop recently, and it looks pretty nice because he told me he had got a dumpster and he threw a lot of junk out, which I need to do down here because I have a lot of stuff. My wife threatens me that if something ever happened to me, she was going to get a dumpster, and I said, no, you better not. Leave it up to my son. But anyway, the receiver, it looks pretty nice. You turn the lights off there, you can see the nice lighted dial and everything on it. And a couple things I had to do to it was of course, the front knobs. These are notorious for the outside silver cap to come loose and want to come off the knob, so you just have to glue them back on. And he had lost on one of the knobs on the left. I just found something and stuck it on for now. If he wants to search, you can find on eBay and such. But you figured how far are you going to go with a receiver like this? Before I even turned it on, one thing I did was source out the power supply capacitors because I don't want to damage anything. You know what happens when you have a bad cap. You can short out something, burn something out in a power supply. But the way this JVC receiver is made is on the bottom you have doors, so the PC boards have easy access for soldering and replacing components, which is nice. Some of them don't. You have to go through a mess to remove the boards to get at the bottom. So I replaced the main power supply caps and one transistor that looked pretty stressed, overheat on the heat sink. You can see the board here, and the whole close-up of the inside. You can see the caps that I had replaced. And I thought about what it would take to replace all the other capacitors, because you can know, especially working with those little transistor radios that I've repaired in my collection, those caps go bad and cause issues. But this thing, it seemed to work fine after everything was done. And you know the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I didn't bother aligning the AM or the FM tuner because everything seemed to work fine as it is. And replace all those little capacitors. There's upwards on over 40 of them on both boards. And that's very time consuming. Maybe if this was my receiver and I really wanted it, but I may have taken time over a year and just replace them here and there, a few at a time, but you're going to have so much labor into it, it really isn't worth it, especially for repairing these for someone and going to charge them. So I left that alone because it seems to work fine. The FM, AM works, everything works. The phono, auxiliary, all that works fine. The transistor that was pretty stressed, you could see a picture of it there of what it looked like. Even the heat sink itself, they had glued the aluminum heat sink to the board, and the glue was all dried and crusted, so I had to clean all that up on the board, and you can see what the transistor looked like when I pulled it out. But I found a suitable new old stock replacement for it and put it in. And the capacitors, this is one of the capacitors. You can see where it had leaked and been leaky from stress and overheating over the years, and you can see the board that they were in. And the actually, these are 6800 microfarad, 35 volt. And they actually found an original style for these. These have 3 leads, which I've never seen at 3-lead capacitors before. I've changed a lot of capacitors, worked on a lot of equipment. But you know, some of the capacitors in power supplies, you'll see when they put them down, they put a little glue around the edge in case one of them pop, it doesn't make a mess. These boards actually have holes in them where the pressure would be relieved and go down into the bottom of the chassis. But there's also a 3rd lead, which seems to, it doesn't connect anything, but it helps secure the capacitor to the board. And these are radio caps, and size-wise, sometimes it's hard to find. The newer caps are a lot smaller, and the lead spread is different. So you have to bend things around, and they don't set flat on the board. But these radio caps, these are 24.5 centimeters in diameter by 50 centimeters high with a 12, not centimeter, I'm sorry, millimeters. I get my metrics wrong sometimes, with a 12 millimeter spread on the leads. So I had to purchase about 10 of these to get them at a fair price. So I'll probably, maybe I'll put the other ones up on eBay. Someone can maybe use them if you need to repair one of these guys. They come in handy to have an original. And the ones I purchased were from United Chemicon. Those were made in Japan also, which are United Chemicon, make pretty decent capacitors. You can see the new capacitors compared to the old one. They're similar, and the one of the weird things about this is the output transistors. I don't think they have been replaced, but there are 3 different output transistors in here, and actually one of them on the inner is actually the number listed on the schematic. So I don't think they've been replaced, because if you look in the factory in some of these, they spray the heatsink compound on and then mount the transistors. And it doesn't look like it's been changed, and underneath the board, it doesn't look like anything has been resoldered, because you would have to remove the whole board anyway to get to the edge of those. And so I think at the factory, maybe they used whatever it was in the same spec, what they had at the time, because I looked at pictures on the web of the inside of these, and a lot of them have different output transistors, different color output transistors. So I don't know this, and it's a nice little 30-watt unit, and it does sound good. So like I said, I left all those other capacitors alone. It sounds nice. And one of the things, you know, if you don't replace those power supply caps, you're going to be lacking on base, and they're going to be of a higher resistance. These were actually half the microfarads that they're supposed to be, the old ones that I took out. They're supposed to be, as I said, 6,800 microfarads, and they were half of that, the values. So they've been seen their life and did need changed. As far as the turntable, I didn't touch electronics because it has a built-in strobe and the speed seems accurate. The only thing I did was, my friend mentioned he had the tracking and everything out of adjustment and the weight on the tone arm. So using the service manual, I adjusted it all up for, it's supposed to be at 2 grams, and adjusted that. And the has a Shure cartridge in it, which I do think it needs a new needle. And you could purchase, of course, you could purchase them, I saw, for anywhere from $15, $30. And I did find an original over at a company in England. It was about $60. It actually had some new old stock original needles for these. I don't know how those aftermarket ones that they're selling would perform. Don't know. But one thing, it had a lower output on one of the channels. And that is common when you get something older like this, especially if it's been sitting around. You have to pop off the cartridge from the tone arm, and you have 4 little nubs, brass contacts sticking out on the back of the cartridge head, and it contacts 4 spring-loaded ones that are inside the tone arm, and those can get a little corroded, and that was the problem here. It's a little bit of deoxide on a Q-tip, cleaned them up, and the audio on both channels was fixed, so we didn't have any low output anymore from that. So other than that, it's a nice old setup. You know, I don't know where he's going to use it at. Maybe out in his, like I said, out in his workshop, which he has recently cleaned up. I need to do that here. But so if you have any comments or question about these, or had any experience and problems that, you know, you've repaired one of these receivers. I see there's a fellow that has a blog that he had problems repairing one that he found one of the FM that was off low. And so he found a transistor in there that on one of the channels, I think he had said it was a common thing of those old Japanese transistors that can fail. But this one seems to be working fine, which surprises me after all these years. So if you have any comments, leave them and hit that like button. And as I said, I just do these videos for fun. I don't make any money off them. I don't even have that many hours watched that I can get any monetary money from YouTube for these, but it's just my hobby, and whatever comes by and I think, hey, that's interesting, I'll make a video out of. And so you have a good day, and God bless.